So you have a concept, you have a site, and have an understanding of what you can build there. But buildings aren't cheap. So how much revenue do you need to build and sustain it? Welcome to Part 5, Business Modeling. In a social purpose real estate project, profit is not the driving priority for everyone involved. The priority is social impact. Still, SPRE projects require a business model that ensures the project is financially viable. In other words, you need to make sure there is enough revenue generated to pay for the construction cost and cover the long-term operations and maintenance of the facility, as well as a contingency fund in case of emergencies. So how can you develop a business model that supports social purpose use of the space, makes a more affordable and accessible space, and is financially sustainable? Well, you need to develop a document that models the long-term feasibility of a project. This is called a Proforma. Simply speaking, a Proforma is a tool typically used by real estate investors to project income and expenses over a multi-year period, modeling different assumptions and scenarios. A Proforma enables a longer-term analysis of a project's projected costs and revenues, supporting the development of a sustainable business model for a new real estate project. Modeling is important because large projects are typically financed by borrowing rather than paying cash up front. A detailed Proforma ensures that the debt can be repaid. It's also used to determine your fundraising goals and is what you'll pitch to potential investors to assure them that your project is feasible and sustainable. For example, a Proforma can answer questions like, what is the difference in revenue between building 5 stories of market rate rental units versus the same number of affordable or transitional units? Or, how many market rate units are necessary to offset the cost of a ground floor daycare? A Proforma will help you to determine how much additional fundraising might be required for different unit mixes and which financial model is most suitable to your organization's capacity. Proformas are dynamic. They can and will change over time, and that's okay. It's to be expected, and you can prepare for change. With a site and a concept in mind, how can you start modeling your project and developing your Proforma? The best place to start is by considering your costs, your financing and your sensitivities, and ranges for the project. When looking at capital costs generated by a new development, you want to consider the land costs and any soft and hard costs. They're one-time costs that will be spent over a long period of time from the pre-development phase all the way through to construction. The next item is financing, and we'll talk about that in more detail in the next video, so here's a brief overview. Financing for a project in a Proforma can be summarized using the following subcategories. Debt, which is typically a loan that your organization takes on through financing from a lender. Equity, meaning funds that are readily available like capital reserves, grants, and philanthropic donations. And finally, your organization's net operating income, which is the total revenue generated by the new project. Next, you'll need an idea of the sensitivities and ranges for the project. This means identifying which inputs of your Proforma are most likely to fluctuate, and then modeling the different ranges and scenarios. The sensitivities and ranges could result from, for example, market or regulatory fluctuations. You can build these fluctuations into different models to prepare your team for various scenarios. So, how do you know what these figures are? Well, there are companies that specialize in publishing these projections to help you with your Proforma. Remember, always be sure to review your Proforma with an expert. And you should meet with consultants that you're considering working with first to make sure that they're a good fit for your organization. There's no need for you to become a Proforma expert if you're developing one site, but it's important to understand how each element of your project fits together. The final business model will be used to ensure the sustainability and longevity of your project. There are many tools out there, and we've included a few resources on our webpage. Next up, we'll run through some of the funding and financing options to consider when developing your project.